Welcome to Your Voice Heard with Dr. Marilyn Pendleton. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to my audience. Welcome to Your Voice Heard with Dr. Marilyn Pendleton, where we amplify the voices of grievers. Grief is normal and natural, and we want to make sure that you don't feel alone and isolated. So today, we have an amazing guest, my fellow colleague, and her name is Georganna W. Lewis. We became connected as being grief recovery method specialists. We are both in the Mid-Atlantic region, but the grief recovery method is a global practice. So, and it's evidence-based. But we also want you to know that there is hope and happiness after grief, and you too can experience hope and happiness after grief. So a little bit about Georganna in a minute, but Georganna, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marilyn. I love you so much, and we are just excited about all the work that you're doing in the community and how you are spreading the word about GRM, especially in the Black and Brown communities. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored to have you here. And just for our audience, because I read your bio, this is just a snippet. Georganna W. Lewis embodies her gift as a minister, author, speaker, podcaster, and grief recovery transformational coach. She serves and encourages because she is no stranger to adversity. In 2009, Georganna recovered from being paralyzed on her entire right side. Life storms such as divorce, death, financial crises, alopecia, corporate downsizing, and other challenges try to keep her stuck.
Yeah.
Pain and disappointment gave birth to Georganna's purpose as a certified certified advanced grief recovery method specialist. Her passion is helping individuals overcome seasons of grief and adversity. Well, welcome, Georganna.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Well, let's start out by sharing with our audience how you got connected with the grief recovery method.
Absolutely. I actually learned about the grief recovery method through my church. My pastor and my first lady are very transparent about some of the things that they went through. And as I was going through the school of ministry, I thought it would be a perfect combination in order to help people. But little did I know, once I got plugged into the grief recovery method, it was me that actually needed some additional help. The tools that we learned through the grief recovery method were so liberating and transformative. I needed to let go of some things. I too needed to be healed from some things. And the grief recovery method truly changed my life.
Yes, and I concur. You have faced myriad of life-altering challenges, from paralysis to financial crisis. Now, how did these experiences shape your perspective on grief and recovery?
Well, definitely through the grief recovery method, and definitely the tools that I actually talk about in my book, Grief is No Longer the Boss of Me, truly helped me just by practicing just gratitude and utilizing my relationships, tapping into inspiration and just energy and just forgiveness. Forgiveness is a major tool in our toolkit as a grief recovery method specialist, and utilizing forgiveness. Wow, it's definitely transformative, and people need to know about just, I believe it was James that talked about, John James, that talked about just how forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. When when unforgiveness, excuse me, and when I heard that, it literally changed my life.
Okay, and I want to address two things that you mentioned.
Yes.
First, we're not going to talk about the book right now. That'll be my next question.
Okay.
Or discussion about your book. But you mentioned forgiveness.
Yes.
Now, how do most people envision forgiveness, and what does forgiveness look like? How is it different when we approach it from the grief recovery method?
Well, one thing, people's perspective about forgiveness is that they think that in order to forgive someone, that relationship needs to go back to where it was. But however, forgiveness does mean you can set those boundaries, and it is you willing to take just 1% ownership of and 1% responsibility of the part that you play in the role that you must play, and just protecting your life and yourself.
So that doesn't, so that does not mean that you go up to someone and say, "Oh, please forgive me."
Absolutely not. Forgiveness is for us, it's not for the other person. And that other person, in order for you to be healed and to go on with your life, they don't even have to know that you want forgiveness for them. Again, forgiveness is for us, the griever. It's not for that particular person that has harmed you in any way. Absolutely not. We need to take ownership. And again, as a Christian, forgiveness is a requirement.
And that is biblical. And when we forgive, I just appreciate you sharing with the audience. When you forgive, you don't have to go to the person. You don't have to say, "I forgive you," because that can create a defensive response. But it's our own internal work. And also, as you said, setting boundaries, because in bodies of faith, and you talk about being stuck, that is a wall that prevents us to continue to grow in our relationship in faith.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you have a good point, we teach our clients not to go to a particular perpetrator because that may just cause more harm. First of all, it might not be a safe space that they need to enter into.
Mhm.
And that perpetrator may have some sense of denial, or they may not be willing to take ownership of that wrong. So then it can cause all the work that we've done with the client to actually start from square one. So definitely it is not needed or necessary to be healed and to recover from grief.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much and sharing that a broader illustration for the audience. Now, how do you define grief?
We define grief as a GRM, as the normal natural reaction of a significant emotional loss of any kind, or even just a change in a familiar pattern or behavior. I would say that 100% of us are grievers or will eventually experience that in our life. You know, some change, whether, you know, we move or we lose a loved one, a person, place, or thing.
Absolutely. And actually, there's more awareness since COVID, but the CDC's definition, and I was so excited to see that definition in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic, and that it was a response to traumatic events, a response to significant loss, changes in life, changes in things that bring us comfort. So when you say, basically all of us will experience grief, absolutely, grief is universal because it's a response, and it could be a response to something wonderful or something very tragic. Now, you are the author of a freshly minted book. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And grief is no longer the boss of me. So, what inspired you to write this book? And what do you want your readers to take away from it?
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. I wrote this book around the awareness. It actually takes the reader on a 25-year pilgrimage through my life. It is written in, I would say, a humorous, non-threatening way, where the reader, whether you are grieving or you're just trying to get some more information about grief. And it also has 15 or more other stories that are sprinkled throughout the book. But the reason for this book is to let people know, no matter what you have gone through or what you may experience in life, grief, recovery from grief is possible. I'm actually a suicide survivor as well. And I have gone, as you said, through just a plethora of different experience, from childhood trauma and just basic life events. Life happens to us all. And just wanting people to know that grief doesn't have to control our life. And it literally was controlling me. And some people now may even be in a robotic state, that they are just going about life something just popped up in my head. You know, it's time to make the donuts. It's time to make the donuts. You know, we clock in, we clock out, and we don't have to live like that. We want to be set free from what's keeping us stuck, the shackles, invisible chains that we go through life with when things happen in our life that hurt us, that harm us, that are very traumatic, that literally break our hearts. And it's possible. And I've done it. And you work with people that are able to do it. And the 15 plus stories that I share in my book, they have done it as well.
I just thank you. And I thank you for your transparency, because people feel extremely hopeless oftentimes when they're grieving. And as you said, they feel stuck, and they feel that sometimes that the only way out of their pain is to voluntarily end their lives.
Absolutely.
And I just thank you for sharing with the audience that you were in that place, but you were able to recover. And that's profound, and that is powerful. And thank you. And for you, those of you who are out there, please, if you feel, if you're in any immediate place that you feel that you're going to hurt yourself, you can reach out and go to the website, and it will give you direct information for suicide prevention.
Yes, and there's a national suicide hotline.
Yes.
988.
Yep.
I mean, if you're listening to this and you are feeling hopeless and you feel that you can't go on another second, pick up the phone. And there are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody is waiting to help you. And again, it doesn't mean tomorrow the light will shine again. I'm a living witness that if you hold on and you cry out for help, help is available. It's not about, shame and what goes on in this house stays in this house. It needs to be exposed. We need to talk about it. And more so now than ever, there is a light being shined on emotional health and emotional wellness and grief recovery. And people didn't even know that there was a such thing as a grief recovery specialist, or people could tap into this type of resource.
Yes, that is, I had no idea. It was my spiritual parents when I was at One Body of Faith, and they were grief recovery method specialists. And the first class, after the first class finished, they were sharing their testimonies of how it transformed their lives. I was like, wait a minute. At that point, I said, I have my master's degree in educational psychology. How come I feel like a hot mess? But going through the grief work, the grief recovery method work, was transformative. And Absolutely. That was the reason why I decided to get certified and continue forth and have a desire, like you, to help Absolutely. Individuals recover from grief. Now, I do have one question. Now, what do you hope your readers, especially those in Black and Brown communities, to take away from the book?
Exactly what I said seconds ago, which bears repeating, that for such a long time in most of our households, we were scared to share, or we were told not to share. What goes on in this house stays in this house, or you better not tell nobody but God. But even God tells us faith without works is dead. And so what I want my readers to know, that it's too heavy of a weight to carry. I mean, for years, I carried along with me just extra weight, extra baggage that really destroyed a lot of my relationships, or prevented me from entering into relationships because of the fear of getting hurt again, the fear of giving someone all of me, and not necessarily in an intimate way or a sexual way, but just intimacy, just platonic. You are fearful of even female relationships because you don't want to get hurt. You don't want something to come out that people may, not, be not want to hear. Again, I'm a suicide, survivor. I say that to let people know that, hey, you can go on to thrive in life. You can recover, and you can live a great, peaceful life. You can go on to have wonderful relationships, working relationships and other relationships, and feel free and be your authentic self without wondering if someone is going to hurt you, or are you going to say the wrong thing. But it just feels good to be free.
Thank you. And I could not agree with you more, that freedom. Now, I would like for you to share with the audience how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. My website is called belovedletstalk.net. So it's www.belovedletstalk.net, or info@belovedletstalk.net.
Thank you so much. I just appreciate you so much for just being here and sharing your gems and your story with our audience. And for me, I just thank everyone for tuning in to Your Voice Heard with Dr. Marilyn Pendleton. And we aim to heal, inspire, educate, and empower. So enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you again, Georganna.
Thank you. It was a sheer pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Take care.